is in fact first and foremost to protect our borders and our own people from terrorism coming from the other side of the border in Syria.
But it's maybe cynical to the Syrian Kurdish people who live there.
But of course, I mean, one also has to look to the area, whether it's a completely Kurdish area or not. And I don't think that is right to call this operation against Turkey, against Kurds. No, we are doing this operation against a particular organization, which is a terrorist organization, PYD-YPG, which is the offshoot of PKK in Syria. And as you know, PKK is recognized as a terrorist organization by NATO, EU, and the entire international community.
Okay.
So
they themselves deny that they are an offshoot of PKK, but maybe more importantly, they were our partners in fighting ISIS.
First of all, no matter how they deny, it is a well-documented fact. The American Secretary of Defense, Ash Carter, told it. Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch has well-documented their ties with PKK. And even the commander of the US Special Forces on the ground has told in 2017 that they asked them to change their name from YPG to something else. Okay. And in just one day time, they come up with Syrian Democratic Forces rubric. And he said, I mean, it's a stroke of brilliance that they put democracy underneath that.
But nevertheless, they were our partners in fighting ISIS.
But I mean, it was again another mistake to use one terrorist organization against another terrorist organization. We have done this in the past in several other theaters of operation, and we have never benefited from that. And when we started fighting against Daesh, we told our allies that, I mean, we can do it together. We have the boots on the ground. We have at least the boots to send on the ground. But unfortunately, our American allies have preferred to work with them. But then again, you know, I mean, that doesn't change the fact that we are being attacked by PYD-YPG from the Syrian side. Of course, the press only pays attention to major terrorist attacks when they happen, whereas there are tens of tunnels dug through and underneath our border from Syria to Turkey, and PYD is using these tunnels to smuggle weapons, equipment, and their militants. So we are on a daily basis trying to prevent attacks coming from the Syrian. No country is expected to tolerate that for long.
Let's try to have a look on how you will try to create this secure area. Could this mean that 100,000, maybe a few million Kurdish living there will have to leave the area and be replaced by Syrians?
Not at all,
no.
Not at all. There are Syrian Kurds as well. They are Syrians as well. First of all, I mean, I have to say that in Turkey now, we have more than 3.5 million Syrian refugees, 1 million of which came exactly from the area that we intend to create as a safe zone.
So they will go back?
Of course. If they want.
If they want.
All returns will be voluntary.
And they have houses, waiting for them?
Exactly. I believe so, because I mean, they came from those areas. According to our statistics, Tel Abyad, Resiline, and all these cities are shown as their original hometowns. So these will be the first to go back.
But is it your plan? Is it your plan that all 3.5 million Syrians return or go to that area?
Of course not. Of course not. I mean, our president has already told that up to 1 million people may go back when this safe zone is created in full. I mean, 450 kilometers wide and 30 kilometers deep. And we have, according to our statistics, 1 million people already from this area in Turkey waiting to go back. But then again, within that 1 million, there are more than 300,000 Syrian Kurds in Turkey. Why they have come to Turkey in the first place? They have fled not only from the regime brutality, but also from the repression of the PYD and YPG. As a Syrian Kurd, they cannot go back to this area because unfortunately PYD and YPG is trying to repress a certain ideology on these people.
Now, President Erdogan, he has warned particularly Europe not to call this an invasion.
True.
How would you call it then?
A military operation, a security operation to protect our own borders and to create a safe zone whereby refugees can go back.
Foreign troops going to another country, technically that's an invasion, no?
But then we have so many foreign troops in Syria. We have anti-Daesh coalition, which is taking place in Syria. How do we call it? Is it an invasion? No, it's an operation. It's a counter-terrorism operation. Exactly like that. We do not make a distinction between Daesh and PKK or their offshoots. Terrorism is terrorism. You cannot call our terrorism your terrorism. I think we have to be very clear in terms of our cooperation against terrorism. So that's why, I mean, please